Hello, hello, AJ here. Thanks for tuning in. As promised, today I'm going to continue with the next segment of our nutrition talk, and it's going to be focused on fats. So I hope you guys had a chance to watch the carb video and you got some pertinent information from that you have digested, no pun intended, and been able to kind of utilize in forming your macros, or at least being mindful to what type of carbs you're consuming and how they may be impacting your energy and your body. Okay, so today, as we progress and talk about fats, fats is even even a more challenging macro, if you will, and the reason being is because there's different type of fats, similar to carbs, but there are actually four categories of fats that I would like to educate you on. And so that way you can make a mindful decision moving forward as you kind of tweak your nutrition plan. But first and foremost, I think there are some misconceptions when it comes to the fat macro. The fat macro in the most recent years, I think since 1990, 90s have been, oh, fats are bad, don't eat any fats, because the advertising has made us believe that fats make us fat, make us gain weight. But the reality is that there are good fats that our body needs to function, to fuel our organs, to fuel our brain, to manage our hormones, and to manage our energy. And when we neglect having fats in our body, that's when you can see some issues arising, mainly due to inflammation in our bodies because of the types of fats that we do consume, if we consume any. And even if we don't consume enough, the deprivation of it has negative impacts for our healthing moving forward. So just to kind of address and start, when it comes to fats, typically, if you are healthy in digestion and blood work and whatnot, the average or the recommended amount is about 20 to 30% of your daily intake. As far as calories, your 20 to 30% of the total calories you have assigned yourself for the day should be falling in fat. Okay, and then is the option of understanding what kind of fat you're ingesting. What's happened, as we have learned, is that if we have too low levels of fat exogenously intake consumption, it will F up our hormones, okay? And that's when you see issues with weight gain, weight loss. It messes up with our sex hormones. It messes with our steroid hormones, which help with regulating our cellular processes. So I want to just kind of make a note of that, so that way you're aware on the importance of fat in our diets. That it's not a bad thing. The only bad thing about fats is if you're consuming bad fats. And there are actually four categories of fats that I'll be talking about today, okay? But in regards to dietary fat, and I'm just looking down, I made notes to kind of streamline my talking points here, because we can, knowing me, I can go down rabbit holes. So I want to try to make it as succinct as possible and as simplistic, okay? Keep it simple, okay? The KISS method. If we don't have enough fats in our body, I mentioned fatigue, okay? I mentioned infertility. I have not mentioned, but I will, about menopause issues, managing menopause, which I am becoming familiar with, okay? And I know several of my peers, and if you're watching this, chances are you may be wanting to know, curious. And then fats also impact our adrenals, which is our energy. Some people have chronic fatigue because of the abuse of lack of fat. Okay, there is such a thing as I guess, fat shaming. The marketing and culture of nutrition has led us for several decades now that, fat is bad, and I want to clarify what fat is bad and what is good. And also vitamin absorption. If you're not taking enough fats in, you compromise supplementing or ingesting foods with vitamin K, A, D, and E. So those are vital vitamins that we need for our bodies to function in a healthy manner. When it comes to the type of fats that I talked about, I said there were 4 categories. 2 are good, and then 2 are bad. We need to really avoid those as toxic, okay? But what are they, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'll start with the bad ones first, and then we'll end on a good note with the good fats, okay? So out of the 20-30% of the daily macro fat intake that you're ingesting, the 4 types, the bad ones, are the saturated and trans fats. And you may be familiar with these either through some of the marketing that's been going on. That's the fats that they're talking about. Fats are bad, fats are bad. That's what they're noting. And you probably see them in nutrition labels, okay? Because it does have, fat and then saturated or trans fats. So that's great and all, but keep in mind that even if something says 0 trans fats, the FDA does allow 0 to be up to 0.5 grams. So that can add up in some things. When it comes to saturated fats, the category of products or foods that fall under that is typically meat and dairy type products. So you want to be mindful on the type of meats that you're ingesting, because the saturated fats come from the marbling of the animal products, and also if it's in a form of bad oils, okay? That would be one of the categories of the bad fats. So when it comes to meat and dairy, obviously what I recommend is that, if you do eat meat, then you want to make sure that you're getting very lean meat. Poultry, typically 93% or less, okay? And then with beef, 96% or less. Because you can, hey guys, sorry about that. My battery had died. But I think I left off with trans fats, which is another bad fat that is on the nutrition labels. So be very mindful when you're reading the nutrition labels. Those 2 are the bad fats that are noted. So if you see numbers next to them, you want to put it back on the shelf, okay, and opt for another item. But when it comes to trans fats, these are man-made, okay? They're typically known as genetically modified and prevalent in processed foods. Typically the stuff that at least the American culture diet enjoys, like chips, how they're fried in, what the oil they're using, donuts, other baked goods. I mean, there's just a lot of processed things that utilize trans fats because it's an inexpensive product that the industry has developed to help keep costs down for the manufacturers, and it may cost us less, but the impact with health and financial impact because of bad health is compounded. So it opens the door, these bad fats open the door to inflammation. Trans fats especially are just the cholesterol enabler for bad cholesterol. So when it comes to cholesterol, that's the marker to ensure that we avoid heart attacks, okay? So you wanna make sure that you avoid the hydrogenated trans fat oils. Now, let's talk about some positive stuff here. What are good fats, AJ? Well, good fats, let me see here. Good fats are known as monosaturated and polysaturated fats. And they are found predominantly in monosaturated are predominantly found in foods such as coconuts, nuts, seeds, olives, fruits, vegetables, avocados, good fats such as seafood with the salmon, high dense fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel. Those have great omega-3 profiles. The good fats that you want that the body does not produce are omega-3s and omega-6. And there are several plants and fish products that offer that. So do your research and build your nutrition plan around the good fats of monosaturated, and then the other one is the polysaturated. And those are typically the good oils that I recommend using, such as, again, coconut oil, MCT oil, avocado, extra virgin olive oil. And then also there are several other oils in the market as finishers, like sesame oil, walnut oil, macadamia oil. So if you're not allergic to nuts, those are great options to make salad dressings with. And that's another point. On a side note, watch out for salad dressings. Not only are they high in fat, but it's the bad fat. If you look at the ingredients for the main, I guess, primer for the oil they use, a lot of times it's going to be canola oil. They rarely use, there are some brands that use olive oil, like Primal Kitchen, I believe, but just be mindful to it. It's really easy to make dressing. You know, you put some avocado oil, some mustard, some, honey, stevia, monk fruit, herbs, you can use dry herbs, Italian herbs. Shake that puppy up, you can put some apple cider vinegar, shake it up, balsamic vinegar, and voila, you have a dipping sauce, okay? That's just on a side note again. I'm going on tangents. Let me look at my notes again, see where I'm at. Okay. Inflammation, weight loss. Yes, the good fats, mono and poly, because of the omega-3s and 6s, they help reduce inflammation. So they actually help mitigate your body from being inflamed and stressed and promote health. Okay, so that's why you want to understand the balance, or actually beyond the balance, but knowing what fats are good and what fats are bad, and map out your nutrition plan based on more focus, that 30% on the good. So go with the lean meats and go with adding the good fats to bring that number to where it needs to be. Other good sources of, I noted the oils, but other good sources of fats are, nuts, and the thing with fats is that it is a higher calorie per gram than carbs and protein, but it keeps you fuller. It should keep you fuller. So the idea is that you don't want to take a shot of olive oil and call it a day. That's your meal 3. You want to place fats pretty balanced per meal, because what happens is that when I mentioned last video, carbs spike insulin. Well, fats help mitigate that blood sugar spike. Okay, so because it softens it, like cushions it digestively. So you want to make sure that you are mindful to kind of putting in your fats, and that can be also another video on mapping your meals, or how many meals to eat a day, and what time frame you should be eating, and we'll get to that. But as far as today's video goes, it's just about fats. Okay, so that's my overall perspective when it comes to the fat macro. So just in summary real quick, 4 types of fat, 2 are good, mono and poly, 2 are bad, and that is the saturated and trans, which are on the labels. understanding how fat impacts your body from a health perspective, inflammation, energy, infertility, menopause, vitamin absorption, and then also cholesterol, okay? Like how it plays a huge role on managing your cholesterol and managing your blood sugar. At the end of the day, fats do play a role with how you can lose fat, body fat, okay, internal fat. Because if you don't consume enough and you mess up your hormones, that will impact negative attainment to goals. So be mindful to incorporating the good type of fats in your diet, leveraging those essential fats to help promote cellular metabolic processes, and as well as brain health and all those other benefits in preventing autoimmune and other health ailments. I think that's about it. I think this video is going to be too long, so I apologize about that. But I mean, I only just scratched the surface here when it comes to, the fat category. I could go, this could be a series of videos just on fats alone. But for now, here's your appetizer, okay, on fats. And hopefully it's educational for you. Hopefully you learned some things. And then, as we progress, I will post other videos that, come to mind to help us out with trying to, stay healthy and age well. All right, take care, everyone. And if you can share this video with someone that might be interested in nutrition, it'll be very helpful to me. Make sure that you're subscribed and you click that bell notification and you like this video, and definitely post comments, okay? So that way I can understand what your thoughts are and what I can do to, help maybe streamline the educational process when it comes to nutrition and health. All right, take care. Have a great week.